Imagine this is the 30th of October 1961. The superpowers of the world are locked in an arms race and a space race. It'll be a few more years until man first landed on the moon. However, it's on this day of this year, the biggest nuclear warhead was detonated with 50 megaton yields. And it all started in Soviet-era Russia, specifically this airbase over here. Now, this airbase was home to a modified bomber, a Tu-95, which looks a bit like this. Now, this bomber was modified to have paint that would reflect the thermal heat that came off the nuclear explosion, and it carried a 27-ton bomb called the Tsar Bomba, or King of Bombs. The bomb was 8 meters long, or 26 feet. It was 2.1 meters, or 6 foot 11 in diameter, and to give the crew even a 50% chance of survival, because that's all they estimated, it had a 1,600 meter squared parachute, or a 17,000 foot squared parachute, to slow the bomb down after it had been dropped from the aircraft. Despite this, and only, as I said, a 50% chance of coming home, the pilots set out to drop the bomb on this island, part of old Soviet Russia. Now at 34,500 feet, they dropped the bomb, and it detonated at 4,000 meters above the surface. And there's actually a crater that you can see today from it, despite being detonated in the air. Now, this ring here is the immediate fireball after the explosion, and it was 8 kilometers wide, or 5 miles wide. But it's not just the fireball that will kill you, it's also the shockwave and the heat that comes off that fireball. Well, what you can see here in the blue is the shockwave where all the buildings were destroyed. It doesn't matter if it's wood, doesn't matter if it's concrete or brick, they were completely flattened, and that was 55 kilometers away, or 34 miles. And here in red is where there's enough heat to give you 3rd degree burns. That's 100 kilometers away, or 62 miles away. Now 3rd degree burns, not as painful because they quite literally kill and burn your nerve endings so you don't feel anything, but you could easily die from that, and that's why I like to say that this is the kill radius of 100 kilometers. What you see here is the green line is where the bombers got to when the shockwave caught up with them. They got 115 kilometers, or 71 miles away, when the shockwave hit the aircraft and they lost control. They dropped 1,000 meters before they could regain control. Luckily they did survive, despite that 50% chance. Now, it's not where the stats can end, they do continue. And it's actually this pink circle here. Well, that represents how far away the shockwave was actually felt from the initial blast. 700 kilometers away, or 430 miles. And this white circle here, well, that's actually where some broken windows were observed from the blast. 900 kilometers, 560 miles away, reaching far into mainland Russia. And due to some atmospheric things on the day, which I'm not going to go into, there was damage occurring in Norway due to this blast. But the blast is so big, 50 megatons, and you can see it in comparison. As I said, let's treat this red area as the kill zone. It's almost the size of Northern Ireland, or the size of Belgium, and you can see it compared to France or Germany and other countries across Europe. It was so powerful that there was seismic activity observed when it travelled around the Earth 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, and radio communications were interrupted for an hour. Now, this bomb was theoretically capable of going up to 100 megatons. They would just have to dope it with a certain type of uranium, which they didn't do for this test. But even the Russians weren't crazy enough to say we needed to make a 100 megaton nuclear warhead. They realised that 50 was probably too much, let alone 100. This just goes to show how scary nuclear weapons really are.